This is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time for Ryan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics or randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Be for pretty much anything. It could be a ranking list, topic, whatever it may be. Or a commentary, as we have here. So, I have it paused. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. And yes, this is of the Simpsons movie. Which, if you're a fan of the film, you're probably not going to like this commentary. Because the thing with me, it's always weird seeing that 20th Century Fox logo, since we will never see it again since they got bought out by Disney. And it's now 20th Century Studios, whatever the hell it's called now. I didn't really care much for this film. I thought this film was kind of too little too late. And I thought a lot of the ideas, it's been done before multiple times, or when you had season after season after decade of The Simpsons, I don't think there was just much more you could do with it in order to have a movie version of it. It's one of those things of, how can I miss you if you never go away? How can I miss you if you're always here? And to me, it just felt like a longer episode of The Simpsons. Like, I looked at the South Park movie, which that was being done when the show was on, and that one felt a little bit more like a movie to me, with the whole musical angle, and to me that stands out. Here, it really didn't. I mean, the plot with the town being under the dome, and it's being Homer Simpson's fault. I don't know, I think just to the point that you know, it kind of showcases how I got kind of pulled out of The Simpsons as a TV show. And the fact of, I grew up with The Simpsons. I have a lot of the early Simpsons on DVD. But I got to a point that I'm like, I'm going to stop doing... Well, first off, they stopped making DVDs. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it again, so they do another 2, 3 season sets and then they stop again. Because there's a shitload of seasons of the show. And just the point of, I'm just so... I would say, like a lot of people, they got burned out. Not because it's a bad show, but because when it's happening again and again and again and again, what more can you do? There's only enough stories. There's only enough times that Homer screws up and Homer fights with Marge and Marge dumps him, but then Marge forgives him, and you can't do too much because there's a limit. Because Bart is a certain age, Lisa's a certain age, there's a limit to what you can do. You can't have the characters grow around for decades and decades. It just... Almost any type of story that's been told has been told, and just a regurgitation of a story you've seen 2, 3, 4 seasons ago. Here, as they do the Titanic, like Green Day with a Titanic spoof. And maybe kind of showcased that maybe I outgrew The Simpsons, or maybe it's something else entirely, because I didn't really laugh much with The Simpsons. Like, the South Park movie A guy who didn't grow with that, I laughed quite a bit. But here, I didn't really laugh much with the movie. The one time I laughed, I'll mention, is when he's trying to escape and Homer Simpson's doing this. Because that's something that you wouldn't see on the show. But as a guy that for the first 20 seasons watched every fucking episode, and more so, I just went, what can they do with the movie? And this kind of proved it to me. I think it's a show that should have ended season 20 or whatever. Let people miss you. Save some ideas and make movies. Save some ideas and you could have just made a succession of films with grandiose ideas. I mean, as dumb as it sounds, I get more out of the Simpsons arcade game as a movie compared to this. You know, the arcade game back in the day where it's Mr. Burns kidnapped Maddie and the Simpsons have to go rescue Maddie from Mr. Burns because Maddie has this diamond or something. And it just seemed like one of those things that was done just because people kept telling you should make a movie, not because they really had something. Yeah, I know a lot of people love it, but just, you know, Spider Pig and okay, the town's under a dome, and yet again Homer screws up, yet again Homer ruined everything, yet again Marge dumps Homer. I think one of the things that bugged me about this film was Homer. It really showcased Homer was such a unlikable asshole that by then I'm like, Marge should not take Homer back. I remember when The Simpsons started, that wasn't exactly how Homer was. Now, for you watch an episode of a show, and, you know, it's 20-some minutes long, and Homer's doing dumb stuff, and it's a story begin, middle, end within 20 minutes, so the pacing, that's more willing to overlook it or deal with it, and, you know, I find Homer Simpson rather funny. But when it's part of a consistent storyline for an hour and 20-some minutes, it just goes, wow, this Homer is... you know, does become sort of an unlikable prick. Something about it just shines within the movie. I said back to the day with the TV show, you know, he was a guy that was just trying to get his family, like the Christmas episode was him not getting his Christmas bonus, not being able to buy his family gifts and being very depressed and, you know, how am I going to get gifts for Christmas? And being worried about that and sad about that, which is not the Homer Simpson of today, let alone in here. And as the seasons went on, when it got to the one where the enemy episode, where the one guy who kind of tried to be a Michael Douglas falling down type of guy, where he, I'm trying to think, Homer's trying to be friendly, but then with the way he's doing it, the guy's, I don't know how to fucking worded, man. It's one of those things I watch, I go, yeah. I remember when Homer Simpson was, he was dumb and he wasn't a great father, but like he would try to bond with Lisa and try to make her laugh and try to do this and that, and I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just as I watch this, I'm like, there's really nothing in it that made me think this film needed to exist. That makes it stand out from plentiful episodes of the show. Like Lisa falls in love with a new kid. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. Pretty much Lisa Simpson mooning over... Swooning, not mooning. That'd be a different scene. Swooning over... a new kid. Like, why is comic book guy in this place? Why would she invite him over? I just have the joke of... I don't know, like, I'm looking at these jokes, I don't know what it is, it's just not making me laugh. Like the... Oh, they're advertising TV during the movie. Homer going, hey, I want my son to do a dare of being completely naked skateboarding. Just seems more fucking weird than anything. It's like, well, we could do a naked Bart because it's a movie. So, I don't know, it just seems like a weird dare for Homer to give his son. And they're doing like the Austin Powers trying to hide his doodle, his dick. And there's his dick. I forgot they even showed his dick. So great. Now you know what Bart's dick and balls look like. And the fact that he's, you know, what, 10 years old? Even more weird. What do you think about it? They showed essentially a 10-year-old's dick and balls in a movie. Yeah, they're just creepy more than anything. I just didn't really see what was funny about, okay, Bart's left tied up, handcuffed at a fucking post, and people just going, ha 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 ha. I think they just went way overboard with Homer Simpson being a complete dickhead. Like, his son is naked, handcuffed, sells his son out. So he sold his son out this way. He sells the town out, makes it so they're ready to be destroyed. And then Marge makes it so that... I just makes it so, like, he didn't deserve this. He should be fucking dumped. He should be fucking thrown out the pasture. And to me, Homer doesn't do enough to make the comeback to being it made me hate the Homer Simpson character, this movie. I liked him on the show, but the movie just made him just completely despicable and unlikable. And that's kind of the thing with the people have done videos on the show itself where, like, you gotta make Homer dumb, but then they make Homer so dumb that you're like, oh my god, this is now the point of no return. Because you have a show that goes on for so fucking long, it's like we have to do more than what we did in the past. So you gotta make him more dumb. You gotta make him more crazy. Or you gotta make him more... treat his family even worse. Treat his family even more harsher. Be even more out there with the deer in the headlights, not understanding what he's doing. It gets to that point where it gets to be so much, too much in my opinion, that just, there's no coming back from it. And for some reason, they thought this thing with the pig was such like one of the big comedy notes for the movie, with the spider pig scene, and that was like in all the marketing. Part of the marketing was probably it was around the same year Spider-Man 3 came out. So hey, Spider-Man, Spider-Pig, all that stuff. I like The Simpsons. I have the DVDs over there, the first 20 seasons. But it just gets to a point that it is enough, man. There's only so much you can do. So again, it just showcases that, you know, Homer is a shitty dad. He's a shitty husband. He gets his town ready to be up shit creek. It's just overdone. And I don't know, just... if people think it's funny, it's like, well, Matt, he does that on the show. Yeah, I know he does it on the show, but I did 20 minutes worth, maybe do over... and that's one of the many reasons why I stopped watching the show. It just... repeated plots. It felt like the same thing over and over again. And the only thing they could do different is... what new random thing can we reference in today's age? I'm sure a lot of these actors nowadays, like, they just do the parts because, hey, they got paid a shitload of money. They get a deal. And I'm sure Yearly Smith and Julie Tavener, they don't really have much to really deep to say about when doing the show. They probably say, here's a line here, here's a line there. But, again, it pays the bills and then some. And it seems like a show that will never end. Again, how can I miss you if you never go away? I mean, there's potential interesting idea of Bart thinking like Ned Flanders is a good dad. But I feel like I've seen that before too on the show. Maybe not exactly, but something like that. Maybe I'm probably wrong, but... And doing this whole environmental angle. And also with The Simpsons, with the way the political stuff with... Like Apu, you can't have Apu anymore because he's offensive. And you can't have certain characters because those characters were voiced by white folks. And if you're black, you can only voice black people. If you're white, you can only voice white people. If you're Asian, you can only voice Asian people. I thought, well, that's really kind of the opposite of what you're looking for. By the way, like the new He-Man cartoon, the one that piece of shit Kevin Smith jerked off over, that wasn't the case in that either. There were actors who happened to be black, and they voiced a character who happens to be white. I didn't give a shit. You didn't give a shit. But again, it's just, you know... Like this character Lou, he's probably not on the show anymore because he was voiced. Because they have a set of actors. Like this character with Mayor Quimby, I don't think he's there anymore. I think there's a dead body in there. He's not going to be there anymore. This was voiced by a white guy. Because they had a set of actors, hey, we want to do multiple roles. Okay, I'll do multiple roles here, here, and here. And that B guy, that's not going to be on because that'll be offensive to Hispanics. So that's not going to be on there anymore. Probably won't have this pig because it'll be offensive to pigs. I don't know, I mean, I know this isn't much of a commentary, I apologize, but I just don't really know what to say about this film. Why do I... Okay, how did I see The Simpsons? I first saw The Simpsons way back in the day, had a VHS tape of their Christmas special. Saw the VHS tape, really enjoyed it. Didn't have the Fox channel growing up, so my aunt would send us videotapes of stuff, whether it be X-Files or Are You Afraid of the Dark or other stuff she had taped, including Simpsons episodes. And I watched a lot of it from there. And, you know, there was the episode of Lisa being a fan of her substitute teacher, voiced by Dustin Hoffman. Didn't remember the note, "You are Lisa Simpson." And there's a lot of other stuff going on about, you know, the Treehouse of Horror episodes being fun and entertaining, and I don't know if a movie based on that would have been more intriguing, or... Because here's the thing with the movie, you can't do something that's really going to change things because you still had a show that you keep going again and again and again. So you couldn't do something that really changed the vernacular of the show. Some earth-shattering event or some event that changed things forever. You can't do that. You wouldn't be able to do that. So you can only do so much so that the show isn't changed much when it goes back on the air. Which it doesn't matter because a lot of things just, they turn back to normal by the next episode anyway. And they're forgotten. And the grandpa was saying EPA, that's what it stands for, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. I think this is what Albert Brooks, who appeared on the show a couple times, including one that he was this James Bond type of villain, and Homer didn't realize. Homer just thought of him as, wow, he treated me well and he was a cool boss. He just happened to be this James Bond type of villain. Oh, we have President Schwarzenegger, which is the character from McBain. It looks just like him too, and it's the same. I'll just call him President Schwarzenegger just because. But it's the same guy who was in the McBain movies within the Simpsons universe. Mendoza! And the thing is, I bet many people could come up with funnier, more interesting episodes of The Simpsons than the movie. And this shows like the movie... It really didn't need to happen. And it just... People were asking, they did it. And lo and behold, it was a huge hit. But lo and behold, they never made a movie again. Because this was, what, 2007? God, it's been that long, 2007. And look how long it's been now. There was no second movie. Because it was hard enough for them to do the first movie. They will even admit it was hard to do a movie. And no one remembers this movie. No one talks about this film. No one mentions this film. The Dome, then maybe they do the Stephen King, Under the Dome. Which I can't remember when that was made in conjunction with this. I mean, there was an episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns wanted to block out the sun. Like, that was the story. Like, that's when Homer Simpson went to outer space as an astronaut. When you're doing that stuff as an episode of a TV show, what more can you do with a fucking movie? And that's kind of it proved that, at least to me. It proved it. And it's been what? As I hit the fucking thing. 28 minutes? I haven't laughed at one fucking joke so far. It's either stuff I've seen 100 times on the TV show, or just, I don't know, it's as funny as they made it out to be. Here we have the character that's pretty much a take on the Nutty Professor, Jerry Lewis, with the voice. And there were even episodes of the show where he would turn into the Buddy Love type of character. That's the guy who worked with, I think it was a replacement of Sideshow Bob on Krusty the Clown's show. And I mean, it's been a while since I rewatched the show, but it's coming back to me, the memories of it. I mean, my favorite episodes probably like the Treehouse of Horror episodes were fun. Because the thing with the Treehouse of Horror, you could do anything you want. You really could do anything. Because they're just separate stories. So they may die, something crazy may happen, this person may die, you never know. So yeah, my favorite is probably The Shining. I would say that's my favorite. Yeah, pretty much they're under the dome, and then they'll find out Homer Simpson, he's the reason for this, and then they're all going to chase the Simpsons out, and they find a way to escape, and then Homer wants to have a new life, and be more selfish, and then Marge is like, fuck you. I'm like, good, fuck Homer Simpson. That's what made me think of, like, fuck Homer Simpson. And I think his redemption wasn't successful, despite what the filmmakers tried to make you believe. I like the Simpsons home. I don't ever remember it being that there's a fucking woods and forest behind them. But that's the thing with the Simpsons. They just play around with the universe's rubber band reality and do whatever they want. Where this behind the Simpsons house, there just happens to be a fucking forest, and it's the end of town. Other places will be in the middle of the fucking city. There's no consistent rules with this. There's no consistent rules. Because they figure, well, we're going to bend this and bend that because it'll hopefully create a funnier moment or funnier scene, or... And that's the thing, when you have no rules, then you just almost stop caring as well. I think it would work if you had a certain amount of rule, like this is where it's at. And in the beginning, that was supposed to be the case. I know Matt Groening was actually persistent on that. He was fairly persistent on that type of thinking. But then when that came to be, that they're like, no, we want to do this for this joke, and then we want to do this for this joke, and we want to do this for this joke, and then we stop caring. I feel like Matt Groening, he's a guy that really isn't connected with the show much. It's just, hey, my name's on it, I get a paycheck. But I don't know if he's really that hands-on with the show anymore. I would not be surprised if he's not. And I can see what... I think Matt Groening, if he could be honest without, not hurting people's feelings, any of that jazz, and be totally honest, I think a lot of people involved with the show will be like, yeah, this show has run its course. Yeah, I think Carl was that name of the one guy. Again, it's just like... Here we have the angry mob. And pretty much reasons for the family to hate Homer Simpson. Lisa, because... Like, you could tell they had no story for Lisa Simpson, because the best they could come up with is, oh, there's this new boy that she likes. That's the only reason they could come up with. Bart, it's because he wants a new father, which is, Ned. This is the moment I was... Oh, not yet. Oh yeah, I did laugh at that moment where Marge decides to clean the dish as she's leaving the fiery building. And there's a couple little moments of potential funny dads. Like Homer thinks they're leaving and they're actually being carried over. Again, it's just a moment of... I don't know, this kind of stuff I don't really find funny. I guess the whole town wanting to murder the Simpsons, Grandpa wanting to murder the Simpsons as well. Consistently Homer Simpson being a fucking piece of shit. It's not just being an idiot or more, just being a complete piece of shit. There's a reason why the family just left his ass. I mean, that's the one moment I did laugh at. And like this Simpsons house is busted, but it doesn't matter because it'll be perfectly fine by the end of it. It was like, oh wow, now you have a brand new house and a brand new look to it, and maybe some brand new characters. But then you risk agitating fans of the show. But I think when you go on for so long, you have to do that. You have to fucking do that after 20 fucking years. After 20 years, I think it's fine to change it up a little bit. For fuck's sake. And this kid you'll never see again. So like, you watch it as a movie, you don't... All this is pointless. Like South Park the movie, you could almost watch that film and it could be the end of the series. It could. Where like Kenny, he dies but he finally goes to the afterlife and he's essential to the saving everybody. Same as with Cartman. And in a way that seemed like it had a better handling of his characters than this. And then I remember when I first saw this film, I went, okay, yeah, on the show, Homer Simpson fucks up here, he fucks up there, he fucks... It's like the same typical story again and again. Homer fucks up, family hates him, he does one or two things, then everything's A-okay. I mean, then they'd be like, oh no, but this is different because Marge says we're totally done. But she's done that on the show too. Again and again and again. And you just feel bad for Marge. I remember some of the episodes that made me enjoy the most was the really heartfelt episodes like the one with Homer's mom, where Homer's mom has been gone for a while, finally enters back into his life, and then she has to be on the run again. And then there's that moment where he's on top of a car and he's looking up at the stars. And then it cuts to the end credits where he's just looking up at the stars, thinking of his mom, and you have the most beautiful music on the show. The most beautiful music on the show. That just, I thought, fit very well. Trying to think, like, again, when Homer's trying to bond with Lisa, and Lisa keeps saying, oh, this guy's an idiot, this guy's a moron, but Homer's trying his best to be a dad, and then Lisa's like, okay, he may be dumb, but he's still my dad, and he still cares for me. And it has, like, having Lisa on his shoulders, and going around, hold her up. You don't get that with this. Like, there's no reason for Marge to forgive him. There's no reason for the kids to ever forgive him. There's not really a lot of heartfelt moments between him and the kids. I don't even know if there's any moments between him and Lisa Simpson. And Bart is right. You just bought a load of bull crap. And it's to a point where, you know, enough is enough, and just... It's almost as if this film, in a way, because I'm thinking now, 2007, I wasn't watching The Simpsons as much back then, but this kind of killed my interest in The Simpsons, in a way. Where, if this is the film and this is the best you could do with it, then why should I watch the show? And again, it's on for so fucking many decades that it's never over, that I'm like, oh, what's the point of it? And like this scene here, okay, he's in this sphere and he's on this motorcycle, and I think at the end of the film they do a moment that's a reference to an much older episode where Homer tried to skate the gap. I think in here it's maybe the two of them, and that's supposed to be their father-son moment. Then I just don't buy it. And now there's this whole thing where they go to Alaska, and it's like, whatever. And that's the other thing, when you have this kind of film, a lot of the supporting characters don't really have a lot to do. Like, Mo, that's probably the most he gets. Apu, like, you don't really get much with Apu. Like, there's a lot of these supporting characters that don't really get much moments to do anything. Which makes sense because it's about the Simpsons, but at the same time, it just... I don't know, I mean... I know it's not much of a commentary, but just this movie just didn't do much for me. It didn't do much for me back then. It doesn't do much for me now. And yeah, it does feel like I'm watching just a longer episode of The Simpsons. And once in a while they had a little bit more money to splurge. I guess, what else was it supposed to be? That's what people could easily ask. You know, what else could it be? But I don't know, it's just maybe just the story, something really unique or really creative or really outside of the bar compared to the show. Really off the beaten path compared to the show. Like, this is the movie, we gotta do something really unique. Man. Like, we already know where this is going. We already know he's going to release the hounds. Which, that's been done many times before, where you think Mr. Burns has a change of heart, and that's not going to happen. Like, you know what? Even if it was a film like National Lampoon's Vacation, like, if you did a Simpsons movie like that, where Homer was more like the Chevy Chase in National Lampoon's Vacation, it's not his fault, but it's like, he's very adamant to give his family good time. He's just screwing up, but they realize his heart is in the right place. And it could be a nice showcase of Homer Simpson as a character that, yes, he's dumb and stupid, but he means well. And you just say, well, that's the way here. But I don't know, it comes off more as he's a fucking asshole prick. And that's why, you know, one of the many reasons why I stopped watching The Simpsons. Because I like the Homer Simpson character quite a bit. But I don't know, just... I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the last detail for Marge to say fuck it. I'm trying to remember. No, I think it's we should go back to help, and Homer says no. I think that's what it is. And this is trying to be a little bit like a Disney, funny enough. Try to be like a Disney thing where the animals and birds help out. But that's for a possible sex scene. Oh, dude, that's a moment that I thought was kind of funny. Because I think at least, like, they start watching. Yeah, that's what it is. And their reactions. of horror. Okay, like that's a dad that made me laugh. So that, okay, that's another dad. There's a couple. I could probably count on one hand though how many dads that made me chuckle. I guess I don't get why don't they just dig under the ground to get the dome? Is there a way to dig under the ground? Like you saw the other characters go under the ground and come up the other side. Why don't you just do that? Like they keep attacking the dome itself, but how about under the ground? I didn't like the joke of Arnold Schwarzenegger and you didn't even get the actual Arnold. Like, if it was actually Arnold, maybe the joke would be funnier, but President Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you just get the same actor it was Bane. Again, if you got Arnold himself, for a movie, that would make sense. For a movie, we got the budget, we got Arnold doing this cameo, maybe that'd be something, but it's just someone else pretend to be Arnold. The joke just isn't as funny as it could have been. Maybe they took it to Arnold and he said no. Which, I mean, hell, he's done way worse than what this would have been. Again, just with The Simpsons, I just think... Like, you got Tom Hanks. Which is pretty like you're able to get Tom Hanks, but not other people. That's another thing. I'm surprised you don't have even more like celebrity cameos for a movie. But maybe they thought that'd be too out of place or too... I don't know how to put it. Too annoying for people. I get the idea that this is supposed to be Homer at his lowest point, and he's supposed to have a redemption to himself. It's just... like, that right there really kind of clenched it. Like, when you have a guy be consistently so dick, and this is like the most dickish he's ever been, it's just the point that you just go, enough, man, just enough. And... for a lot of people, there was a coming back from it. To me, it's like, fuck this guy. Just to be too much. Where was this constant, like in, what, an hour? Almost an hour of just being this dick. And yeah, I just don't really buy the redemption angle. I really don't. I mean, you can't do that for a cartoon, but that would be something to them actually be separated. But yeah, I know people are like, well, that's a bad idea, Matt. I know, but I don't know, it's just like you consistently have Homer Simpson being a dickhead, consistently Bart hating his dad, Lisa not, you know, really having much to do with her dad. And Julie Kavner did a good job. Julie Kavner did a good job voicing the character. And the thing is, even after this, he doesn't learn his lesson because you go back to the TV show and he does the same thing 85 other times. So then it just makes it pointless. I think that's the thing is, you knew going in this would be pointless. You knew that Homer would not learn his lesson and it would happen again and again and again and again. And it's just the point that, you know, then what's really the point of it? I know that's weird to explain. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like, when you know it's not going to amount to anything, and it just, you've seen this type of stuff over and over. There's been times where they were getting ready to, they were separated and no more and no longer. Which is, that's ironic. Bart just put a bra on, the black bra, and he said, I'm the head of an evil corporation. That's funny because it's ironic because they got bought out by Disney, 20th Century Fox, and now they own Disney. So all the jokes they did about Disney being an evil corporation, and now they're working for that same corporation. I wouldn't be surprised if those get edited. Well, maybe not, because it'd be too much of a stink. But I bet they wish they could. I mean, there were times where in the show, Homer thought he wasn't good enough for his family, so he put a fucking rock in a chain and was going to jump off a fucking bridge. I mean, they said there's been so many episodes of all sorts of dramatic arts. Well, it's still a goofy comedy show, what am I talking about? But I feel like yeah, I'm not talking as much as the comedy, just I don't think it's as funny as it could be. But hey, a lot of people enjoy the film. They found it very funny. These guys are hired writers and artists and directors. What do I know about comedy? I mean, I would give credit to the animation. It's well animated, the movie. Like during this whole nightmare, you know, hallucination sequence. It is not a badly animated movie at all. And like if this was also him saving Springfield, if it was something that he didn't cause in the first place, maybe that idea would be more intriguing to me. But it's the fact that he's just fixing his own mistake. It's fine, but at the same time, it's like... Again, I don't know, man. It still ends up with just him fixing his own mistake. I mean, if this was a guy that someone else made a mistake, and yeah, he was selfish, wanting to escape, but it's like, okay, I need to do this. That would be, I don't know, a story I would get a little bit more into, perhaps. And it's funny how people may forget back in the day, Bart Simpson was the star of the show. And if this was 94 or 95 and you were to say, you don't make a Simpsons movie, but Bart Simpson's not the star, they would laugh in your face. You go back to their early episodes, you see how many times Bart Simpson was the star. He was the marketing, the Butterfinger commercials, episodes like Camp Krusty, where there was talks of that being made into a film, the Camp Krusty episode, where the kids go to Camp Krusty, and the kids overtake it. There are talks of maybe making that into a movie, way, way back in the day. And yeah, you would have episodes with Homer and Marge and Lisa, but Bart was the catchphrases, I caramba, don't have a cow man, cowbunga. He even had a song like Do the Bart Man. There's when Michael Jackson was on an episode, but he played I forget what the name of the character he played, and like Bart Simpson was on the TV shows and the TV show was on the T-shirts and a lot of the marketing capacities were being met to fulfill the juggernaut that it was. Bart Simpson was the star, and then that, just like this fucking thing here, Wrecking Ball, things changed tremendously from Bart to Homer Simpson. Between a rock and a hard place, you get it? Yeah, sorry, I'm not saying anything. I'm just watching a little bit of the film. Well, look how, crapped out the town has become. And by the next, it'll be all fine. No changes. Nothing was affected by the time we got back on the show. Everything was pretty much fine and dandy. Again, you have this kind of... But that's... You just say that for a lot of cartoons, not just for The Simpsons. That's the good, the bad. The good is that nothing changes because it's a cartoon, so you have free will to do anything you want in this rubber band reality that you could take it this far or this far. By the next episode, everything will be fine and dandy and forgotten. I mean, whether it be Beavis and Butthead, whether it be Futurama, whether it be Tea in the Hill, all that jazz. And the few times something changed would be like if an actress passed away or something else happened. So like you had Ned Flanders' wife dying. Very rarely you had something like that happen. I don't know where the hell he got that costume, but that's another fun dad. You see the jetpack, you think he's going to get the jetpack, and he's excited by the super glue. Again, maybe if this was... He's doing a selfish thing, but at the same time it's something that he still caused all this. Like, all this stuff here, he still caused. Whether, yeah, he'll save the town, but he still caused all this. Again, if that wasn't the case, then, I don't know, that would make the hero's journey a little bit more palpable for me, for Homer. I don't know. Again, Homer screws up again. Because he slams everybody down where they would have gotten away. So again, Homer screwed it up again. It's just one of those things where I watch and I go, I mean, he's still screwing things up again and again and again. Sorry, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm just sort of watching the film because I don't remember much about what happens next because I haven't seen the film for a long, long time. Stained glass houses and the church is broken up. Even the fucking robot had a short circuit. Yeah, again, sorry I'm not saying anything. I'm just kind of watching this here and there. So again, that's beaten because Homer says, "I'll let you hold the bomb." And that's pretty much it. As long as he says, "I'll let you hold the bomb," there you go. And of course, that moment that he had earlier. I think this is where Marge cusses, which they do away with the movie. So they threw that in there. So that's really, I don't really buy any of the emotions with it. It's just Bart forgives his father because he gets to hold the bomb. Marge, okay, Homer at least did something, so there you go. Nothing with Lisa. Like, nothing done with Lisa Simpson. And pretty much with the movie, a little bit higher rating, would you have someone say, give the middle finger, say goddamn. Otto shows that he does do drugs, as if we didn't know that already. I mean, it's a well-animated action sequence, I'll give you that. It is a well-animated action sequence. That's one thing I would give it. The animation's pretty solid. Oh, this is the gorge I was talking about. There you go. This time he does make it. Because he was on the skateboard, he didn't make it. This time he does make it. Well, not really. But almost. So that character died, but I think he comes back, so he's not really dead. Albert Brooks, I mean, he's a good voice actor. He's, of course, he's a director. He's an actor. He directed films like Defending Your Life. He acted in this film I quite enjoyed called Mother. That's actually a rather good film. Funny, but heartfelt as well. Albert Brooks works for this type of character. He was also in the Ryan Gosling film Drive. He's been in a few other movies. Oh, speaking of Maggie, it makes me think of, the two-parter Who Shot Mr. Burns. I mean, that was the thing where Mr. Burns gets shot, and then you're wondering, like, who shot Mr. Burns? That was the big mystery that you're supposed to have, like, not competitions, but, was it this person? Was it this person? You solve it. And then when it premieres, this is who shot Mr. Burns. It was Maddie. They had other ideas for who would be at the end. Would it be Marge? not Marge, but there were other people that it could have been, and they animated it. Like one, it could have been Waylon Smithers. One could have been other stuff. And then that's it. Like, and then that's pretty much it. They just write off, and there's like nothing else to it other than that. And it's like, okay, I guess, whatever. I mean, I guess, you know, technically Homer did save the town, so there you go. But just, I don't know. And then that's the movie. Hour and 17 minutes. So it is a short film, an hour and 17 minutes, and you got like 10 minutes of credits. Dan Castaneda, who's Homer, Krusty, Groundskeeper Willie, Julie Taggart, who's Marge. Selma and Patty were barely characters in this. Nancy Cartwright is Nelson, Bart, Ralph, Yearly Smith as Lisa. Hank Azaria, Apu can't be in the mirror. Bumblebee Man can't be there anymore because it'd be too offensive. Harry Shearer, quite a few characters. Pamela Hayden. I think did she pass away? Did someone else pass away? Or was it Tristan? Someone passed away. I can't remember who. Marsha Wallace. I think she passed away. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of. Joel Mantegna as Fat Tony. Was Fat Tony even in this? I don't even remember Fat Tony in this. Tom Hanks as himself. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people writing the film. 11 people. 11. Think about it. This is how little they had. 11 people on the script. And the best they could get is an hour and 17 minutes. Because, like, we've already done this. We've already done that. That hurt them. And then, well, we can't do this because we need stuff to do for the show afterward. And again, it just comes off as pointless. After, I mean, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. And that's The Simpsons. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's pretty much it. You know, the guy at the end cleaned the movie theater up. Again, if people love it, that's cool. It just never did much for me. It kind of symbolizes what makes The Simpsons kind of old hat nowadays. Gracie Films. I remember certain moments of the show where there was something they had done there was an episode where Homer Simpson was the coach, and throughout the end credits, he's like, "You're cut, you're cut, yeah, you're cut too. Oh, you're definitely cut. You shush too, Gracie." And he talked shit about the Gracie Films logo at the end. See, that makes me like, I mean, maybe because I've just seen so many episodes of the show, I actually, maybe this is more for people that if you didn't see the film, let me reword that. If you didn't see the show for 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, you go, "Oh yeah, I forgot about The Simpsons." Okay, maybe you would enjoy it more than me. But for me, it's like, eh. I mean, I remember when there was an episode where Homer wanted to get so fat because then he could work at home. And then he's wandering around and the thing's going to blow up. It's going to take out the town. And he falls and he starts up the suction so that he saves the town. And, "Mr. Burns, can you make me thin again?" So even that's the one where he screwed up and he saved the town. I mean, just for me, it was kind of the same old, handful of dabs that made me chuckle. Even at the end, there's no moments between him and Lisa. Marge is just picks her up and then she, nothing dialogue-wise. Bart, "Hey, I forgive him because he wants me to hold the bomb." Again, what you spit out of a movie. But I remember the old episodes. Like I said, the Lisa Simpson episode. "You are Lisa Simpson." The Mother episode with Homer, where he's sitting on the car and he sees the star. I mean, I mentioned that before. They can do that. And that was on 20-minute episodes. For a movie, I think they could do more with that. But that's just me. So, hey, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.